Hello everybody, thank you for watching my video. I wanted to create a video on a few tips I wish I knew when I first started crocheting. A good tip is to start with just one skein of yarn. You don't want to become overwhelmed by having too much yarn. Another good tip is to try a yarn that has a rope-like texture. The yarns that come on the cone are very sturdy, and no matter how many times you practice on them, they won't fray. They don't fray as hard. You can undo them, you can unwind them and just twist them and they go right back into their original shape. As you can see, I still buy these and I still use these. Although these types of yarns are very beautiful and I do use them. As you can see, they do fray. They do fray quite a bit, and they are hard to control sometimes in your pattern. And also, they sometimes break in between. Okay, this is not a problem. This does not mean this is bad yarn. You just need to know what you're doing while you're crocheting, and it doesn't necessarily work for beginner crocheters, which may lead you to become frustrated. So again, try one skein of yarn with something like this. These cones come in multiple colors and they're usually quite large, so you get a lot of yarn for one skein. And you could do so many things with them, and they're actually quite soft, and I use this a lot. Another good tip is to start with one hook that goes with the skein size, but to have something with a wider or softer edge, something with a softer edge. This has got a metal hook, which I tend to always gravitate towards. I always gravitate towards the metal ones because they tend to last longer for me. I do have a plastic one, but I do have this plastic one for a bigger project. But as you can see, it's got a bigger handle, which helps me. Helps me a lot. They also have wooden ones that have really wide handles. I don't have those. I tend to gravitate something that is a little more affordable for my price range, and those are unfortunately out of my price range. I would absolutely love to have those, but I can't afford those at the moment, maybe in time. And then once I do have them, I can show you. But these are my favorites because they are wider, they are more comfort, especially if you're going to have a long project or a big project to where you need to really, have more comfort for you. The hook size will be on the skein of yarn that you buy. On here it says hook size K. Another example is this one says hook size H. I do want to say don't ever give up, always practice, okay? Don't ever give up. Crocheting is very fun and therapeutic. Always practice. Practice with the chains first. Master the chain before you move on to a pattern. You want to do this because this is very important. You see how chunky this is? I'm going to show you what it looks like when I crochet with a smaller hook size. For a long time, I used to think that there was something wrong with how I did things, and it was just hook size or how I was holding the yarn or what I was doing, and it wasn't. It was just, you see the difference? That's more uniform because this is more of appropriate size for this. That's why you got to pay attention to things like that. You got to pay attention to the skein hook size. It helps out so much. Don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Crocheting is a beautiful art. You can create so many things, so many things. Another thing is to practice your form, okay? This is what I do to start off my yarn off, okay? I'll take my finger, like this, wrap it around, whoops. I'll take my finger like this, wrap it around, go over once, over twice, and then put my hook through that back one, tighten through. And when I hold it, I'm holding like this, okay? Like that. And it might change up. As I'm moving, it changes. It's going to be different for you. Maybe it's the same for you. But you see how I'm holding the crochet hook? I got my middle finger, my thumb finger, and my index finger. I got my index finger holding the yarn. That's what I'm using that for. I've got these two bracing this little dip here, or this little groove, to keep steady. And I've got the other two kind of bracing it, but just loosely. Okay, and I got these two. This hooks around the yarn to keep it flowing. And then I do hold the bottom half here with my ring finger and my thumb to keep the work tight. So that way I could go like this and not, because if I don't, then how am I supposed to, like I can't even do it without even, like I can't. You're not going to be able to without holding this end piece. It's one of those things you just have to practice. It's going to take time. Once you get it, once you find that muscle memory to absorb, it'll just flow. So just keep practicing. You will get it. You might not understand patterns right away, and that is okay. I did not understand patterns for quite some time. I also created my own patterns, which didn't make any sense and they were quite sloppy, but that's because I didn't understand patterns and none of them made sense. So if you don't understand them and they don't make sense, to me they're like looking at musical notes. You might not get them right away, but in time you will. So just don't worry about that right away. Don't rush into it. Just take your time. You want to start with beginner patterns. Absolutely. And you can find them all over social media. You can find them all over the internet. You can also find step-by-step with picture tutorials. You can find them on YouTube, where you can easily type in beginner patterns. You can find them just about anywhere. And if you don't quite understand them, it's okay. You will get it. It just takes time. So just keep on keeping on. And I hope to see you again.